Oh boy, everybody. That was a tough one. Glad to be back. Glad to be back in this chair. Glad to be hosting the ECH postgame live again with everybody. But that was a rough one. There's no way around that one. Um, it kind of stinks constantly, especially with this team, right? Like I feel like we're just like the little step sibling to Vegas right now, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Of all the teams, guys, right? Of all the teams, has to be them. First regulation loss for the Kraken this season. There was some good things in that game, but also plenty that I think we'll probably talk about that wasn't so great. But once again, just happy to be back here on ECH Postgame Live with everybody. And of course, ECH Postgame Live brought to you all by Queen Anne Beer Hall. So huge shout out to them. But yeah, I guess we could just kind of start talking about this. But I don't know. I've made some notes here. There's some stuff I want to talk about. I'll wait and kind of let people trickle into chat and everything first before getting too much into it. But I'm starting to think that maybe we're putting a little bit too much of an emphasis on the physical side of the game. A little bit. I'm starting to feel like that might be a little bit of a problem right now for the Kraken. Because that's ultimately what cost them on both of those first two goals was guys getting pulled way out of position because they were trying to make hits, be physical, finish their checks, all of that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, as I pointed out in that Larson short I did a couple days ago, one of the things that makes Larson so good is that he's not overcommitting by going for a hit when just, poke checking the puck away will do, right? It keeps you in position. It keeps you on your feet. It keeps you in a play while still disrupting what the other team is trying to do. And I felt like in this game, particularly on those first two goals, which really set the tone for a while there, I felt like Seattle was just a little too focused on the physical side of things, and it gave them problems there a little bit. And so obviously we know that was the emphasis against the Kings. They were really happy with the fact that they, got over 40 hits involved in that game. But yeah, I don't know. That maybe that's something to look at if you're the Kraken moving forward after this game. I do have a birthday in here for Leanne, so happy birthday. Yeah, sorry it wasn't a great one. And then on top of that, we got that Mariners game that was just, again, brutal to fight that long. It was just a hard one, but it's all right. There was still good stuff to talk about in this Kraken game. We'll get to still signs of improvement over last season, I felt, and still things that I'm really happy with that the club is now doing that maybe they weren't doing so much last year. But gonna jump into comments, start getting through those right now. Mike McBob, today sucked. Yeah, it was a bad day to be a Seattle sports fan. No doubts there. TT Wims, rough one for sure. It was rough. Hunter, I don't see Hackstall lasting till the end of the season at this rate. No excuse for a performance like that. So this is one of the things that's interesting is I feel like there has been a lot of improvement for the Kraken, and a lot of improvement on the coaching side of things. Now, I know I kind of started this all by saying I think there's too much of an emphasis on the physical side of the game and what they're doing there, but I think that there has been a lot of improvement. Obviously, the power play improved. Part of that is just bringing in guys like Justin Schultz, Andre Burakovsky, right, helping make the power play goal that was scored tonight happen. But I also feel like a lot of it is coaching. I feel like a lot of the stuff that they're doing 5-on-5 to help control play, the fact that they did have a plan to attack the Kings in the last game and that plan was very good and it won them that game. I think that's a big improvement over last year, and that's a sign that the coaching staff is being more proactive. They are trying things. You saw Hackstall shuffle the lines at an appropriate time tonight. I would have maybe liked to see the Killer Bees. I'm sure a lot of people are in agreement with me there, just because Bjorkstrand was playing so well. I would have liked to see him up with Maddie, but he made adjustments. And here's the big one, everybody, and this is part coach, part having maybe those new players in the room. The team didn't give up. They didn't roll over. They came back. They scored a couple goals. Everything was good. They got momentum back. They didn't go, off quietly into the night. And that was, again, something that frustrated a lot of us last season. I remember being in a lot of these post-game chats talking about that with everybody. So I think that is a sign of improvement, and I think that's a sign of improved leadership amongst the players and probably also leadership from the coaching staff. So I don't know. Just because this is their first game to walk away without a point, I'm not willing to totally throw Hackstall under the bus again. I think if we're going to talk about that, maybe just the decision to start Martin Jones. I get that everybody, he had the better game on that road trip, but Martin Jones apparently has a brutal history against Vegas that I wasn't aware of until this game, mid-game today, and maybe the coaching staff should have been aware of, and that is Martin Jones has started 24 games against the Golden Knights. He has now been pulled in 9 of them. So maybe the decision to start Jones in this one was really where we should question some things. Wow, not good. This from Joshua. It was a rough day. Michael, what an awful day for the defense. Yeah, it wasn't just the defenseman in this one. Like, I feel like that was kind of more so some things in the other ones. I felt like the forwards on the back check really didn't help them out much on this. The first goal was just brutal all the way around. You had guys overcommitting, again, overcommitting to checks, playing physical up high, especially around the zone entry for Vegas there. And then I have zero idea what Carson Soucy is doing on that goal. He just like controller disconnects and drifts way off to the side and just seeds the center of the ice right in front of Jones to Kolasar. I really don't know what was going on there, but for a lot of the other ones, I don't know. I still feel like, and I know Yanni got shuffled around a little bit, but I still felt like 5-on-5. Wenberg, I don't know what he was really doing when he was back checking. Yanni, not totally sure what he was doing when back checking. I think it's a team defense issue more so than just like a defensive issue. But Carson Soucy, I mean, that first goal was really bad, and then you have also the couple penalties that he took. Not great either. So, yeah, it was a rough day for defense, but I think that gets shared by everybody on the roster. Cameron, yeah, that was depressing. It was depressing. Stratic, who replaced the Kraken with the junior squid? I know. Let's see. Hunter, when will people start mentioning the sloppy and terrible defense? They've been costing us more than the goalies. Yes, I mean, we just talked about that, right? And it's there's a lot of aspects to it. Jamie Alexiak struggled through both of those first 2 games with playing the puck behind his own net, really just playing the puck in general. And I felt like he got a little better with that in this game, particularly in the offensive zone. He made some nice passes. He handled the puck at the blue line well. Carson Soucy on the first goal tonight, just absolutely brutal. I feel like Will Borgen is making himself known, but it's more so in the offensive zone, not so much in the defensive zone. And then also, ultimately, a lot of this has to do with the sloppy play from the Kraken as a whole in the neutral zone. It was just feeding the Vegas transition. Oh my gosh, Vegas was able just to attack the Kraken with speed, so many breakaways. That's how you get the penalty shot drawn. You get another penalty drawn off of that. It was just unbelievable how bad the Kraken were at trying to get the puck through the neutral zone, particularly using their defensemen. A lot of those were bad passes from the defensemen. They were bad passes back to the defensemen because they couldn't enter the zone, and they were just all ending up on the stick of Vegas players, and then they were able just to attack with speed and do exactly what it is that Vegas wants to do, which was really another theme of tonight, which was, I talked about it in the our division preview. When it comes to Las Vegas, one of the things Vegas wants to do is they want to get their defensemen the puck, and they want to get them, just directly in front of the goaltender at the absolute, at the point, but dead center on the ice. And we saw that with the Shea Theodore goal. They were able to do that, and Vegas was able to clear a perfect pathway for him to just beat Jones. Bottom line, he's just beat Jones. And so that was one of the things Vegas always tries to do against teams, and the Kraken just let them do it. And the other thing was kind of like on the first goal, and I talked about this on last post game when we looked ahead to Vegas, was one of the things Vegas really likes to do. One of their set plays is get guys like, and I mentioned Kolasar by name, get guys like him or William Karlsson the puck right to the side of the slot, and then they work inside or work across and score a goal. And that's exactly what happened on that first goal. That's a set play Vegas has for a couple of their guys, and the Kraken just let it happen. And so that is, I guess, a good criticism on the coaching staff. Is those are things I picked up just from watching this team last season and in one game this year. I knew that those were the two things that Vegas wants to try to do, and we saw Vegas able to do those things, and it got them 2 goals directly. And the Kraken had no answer for it, and worse, they didn't really seem to be recognizing it as it was happening either. So there's that. And then yes, the sloppy and terrible defense. It's there. I think everybody was talking about it on this one, Hunter, on Twitter, on Discord. It's just really really bad, and they're starting to mess with their goaltender's confidence. I felt like Jones, didn't really have a fair shot at even starting this game because of how bad the defense was on those first 2 goals. And then by the end of it, Jones just gets leakier and leakier as the game goes on. And to be honest, I felt the same thing happened with Grubauer in the opening night game against the Ducks. Grubauer started off pretty confident. He was making some saves in there. And then it was just bad defensive play leads to a goal, bad defensive play leads to a goal, and then the goals start getting leakier and leakier and leakier until the end, when you just have this feeling of there's no way he's going to be able to stop this. And I think the goaltenders kind of start getting that feeling themselves. This team needs to step up the defense. They need to do a better job, not just the defenders, but also the forwards when back checking. They have to be doing a better job, because right now it feels like they're just shattering their goaltenders' confidence. And you just can't afford to do that. Not this early in the season. You know what I mean? Like, it's way too early to be doing that. Let's see. Stratic, was it a swap and the real Kraken played at intermission? I don't know. Again, though, I like that the Kraken came back and they were able to, do something. I'm really really happy that they were able to do that. Michael, defense has to get its stuff together. So many mistakes already. It's really really bad. I think that needs to be the entire focus of everybody within the organization is figuring things out here on defense, and really getting those video coaches in there and figuring things out, because right now it is rough. Daniel, I was there in person today and team didn't look like they cared. Coach doesn't. Team is just feeling sorry for themselves. Extremely disappointed, and I want Hackstall fired now. He does not care. I promise you he cares. I just think that the team did not look ready to play. I'll give you that all day long, because they did not at all. It was absolutely brutal, really really rough, the roughest they've looked at any point this season. But I think Hackstall cares. Like I said, there's in other aspects of it, there's market improvement over last season. We're seeing set plays. We're seeing set plays on the power play. Power play, got another goal tonight. These are all improvements, and these are all things that we didn't think Hackstall was going to do. And sure enough, over the course of the offseason, he got it done. Whether that's Dave Lowry coming in and helping out, I don't know. But he's better. And again, this is also the first game so far this season where we haven't gotten a point. So I know this one is really brutal and it's a tough loss, but compared to last season, this team is just, it looks so much better. And I do want to kind of just like remind everyone of that, because there was lots of stuff on the Discord today too, after the Shane Wright decision to scratch him again, or the decision to go with Martin Jones. And I don't know. I don't want us to turn into one of those cynical hockey fan bases this quick, guys. You know what I mean? I think we do need to recognize that this team is much better than last year. We didn't think they were going to be a Stanley Cup caliber team this year. You know what I mean? So far they're kind of playing to kind of where we thought they were. They had a really nice road trip, having to play back-to-back games. They got beat by a team that was better than them tonight. And yes, those first 2 goals were really bad, like really, really bad. But I still think that this team is better than it was last year, and I'm very, very happy about that. How does this team keep giving up goals in the first shift of the game? Just got to be better, ready to play a game. I don't know. I don't know if that needs to come from the coaching staff or the players, but they have to just wake up. Cameron thought Susie had a really bad game. Susie did have a really bad game. That was definitely bad. Let's see, the number of goals this team gives up on the first shot of the game has to be an NHL record. I mean, certainly if this continues throughout the entire season, we'll set a record, I'm sure. Today was a cursed day. It really was, if you're a Seattle sports fan. Rebecca, I feel like we should invite Martin Jones to this session of ECH therapy. Yeah, I'm sure he could probably use it right now. That's a rough one. Like I said, I just feel like the team kind of broke his confidence in this one. Those brutal goals at the beginning. It's hard. Let's see. What were there more of today? Mariners strikeouts or on-man rushes against the Kraken? That's a good question, Michael. And that's a question I don't know. And no matter what the answer is, it'll just make us all sad. Joshua, do we start blaming Ty, aka Take Commander, for it this early? I don't think so. I know Ty was there tonight. I don't think we can do that quite yet. Let's see. I feel like there's an exceptionally bad game when I'm not. Let's see. I feel like it's an exceptionally bad game when I'm not remotely blaming the goalies for a loss. It was a bad game. There's no question about that. Again, you did nothing but feed Vegas's transition all night long. You took a lot of penalties that you didn't always need to, or were out of desperation because you fed said transition all night long, and then you overcommitted on checks. That second goal, where you have three guys back in your zone before Vegas ever enters the zone, and then yet somehow Vegas just has numbers by your goaltender and scores. There's zero communication, zero. I said it on Twitter. It looked like there was zero thought process going on from any Kraken member on the ice. They were just all clueless as to the situation, and that's brutal. It's just so rough. Let's see. So much better than last season. Remember when we took bathroom breaks when they got a power play? See, Crack Me Up gets it. We're a little better than last season, everybody. Medeiros, oh boy, do I have thoughts about what I just saw. First, what the hell was that? Second, can it never happen again? I hope it never happens again. And to be entirely honest with you, Medeiros, I don't know what that was either. Certainly on those first couple goals. All right, so here, Stratix got the stat for us. Kraken have allowed a goal on the first shot of a game in 12 of the 85 games they've played. I mean, that's got to be a record, right? Like, we got to be on record for like the first 100 games in a franchise's history, or any 100-game stretch. We're probably on pace or exceeding that record already. I'm happy with the last period, but that second was miserable to watch and was just so incredibly disappointing from the team. Grubauer, though, improving the overall save percentage. That is true, Walt. Grubauer looked good when he came in the third. I thought they should have started Grubauer on this one. I just think you got to get back to your guy, your starter. It felt a little early to be like, oh, let's try to ride the hot hand and kind of be cheeky with it. And then obviously it was a problem tonight. But yeah, I mean, that second period was unbelievably bad. That was the time to use the bathroom. It was the entire second period. Let's see. Hopefully we bounce back on Monday, go Kraken. That would be nice. Hopefully we're able to get it done. I think we'll be able to get it done. The team's passing just seems bad overall. Is this fixable, or is it the personnel just not good at passing as a roster? So this is what's interesting is I feel like the guys who were here last year still kind of struggling with passing. I felt Burakovsky has looked phenomenal when passing. His passes are always tape to tape, like we saw in the power play goal today. Just a beautiful pass over to Schwartz. And I felt like Justin Schultz has done an excellent job distributing the puck and working the power play and doing all of that stuff, trying to get the puck up the ice and get a transition game going, all of that. And Bjorkstrand's look good. So I don't know. It's kind of just almost like that OG Kraken group has issues passing. Wenberg especially. If you're going to be a guy who absolutely refuses to shoot the puck, like I'm not going to shoot the puck no matter what the situation is, then stop sending passes into guys' skates, please. Like, can we do that? Because that's getting to be a big problem. Just saw RJ on the broadcast during the Everly post-game interview. Awesome. Obviously, he'll be joining us in a little bit once all the pressers are done. We can hear what the team has to say. Let's see. I think the team looks a lot better. Passing was rough all game, like Edzo pointed out. I think the team needs to clean up on the breakaways, and we should be in for a fun season. Overall, still happy. Agreed. I mean, there is stuff to clean up, no question about that. Again, we knew this isn't like the Colorado team of last year where it was just like, yeah, it's just a matter of time before they win the Stanley Cup. Not the case this year. But overall, there's improvements. Like I said, the fact that they tried to make a comeback late and stuff, it's a big improvement over what was going on last season with this group. So happy to read that comment. Let's see. I think the third D player blows. Mediocre defensemen who make bad penalties and are really not smart D men. Silver lining is that Larson and Schultz are studs. Yeah, I said it on Twitter, and I was kind of saying it in the to Afra basically that I think Schultz has been the Kraken's MVP so far this season. I think Justin Schultz has looked fantastic. He's been everything we could have asked for and more. And really, really happy with what Justin Schultz has been able to do. And yes, it was a really rough day for Carson Soucy. And Will Borgen, he's doing all right in the back end. He's trying to get stuff going offensively. I like the plays that they get him to get shots off. I'm sure it's a matter of time before he starts scoring goals. So I don't know that I'd totally throw him in there with the having a terrible night. His was more just mediocre, but Schultz had a really rough one. Horrible game, so disappointing. 0-5 against Vegas, the one team I can't stand. Vegas dominates us all the time. It's from Joey. I understand. That's kind of how we started things off here. Just feeling like the ugly step sibling to this team. It's brutal. I really, really don't want that. Let's see, Michael, good point. We don't want to get cynical, and we do love this team. However, we do not love this coach. Just doing the bare minimum, or at least seems like it. All right, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give you that. Good points there. There is improvement because of coaching and improvement in spite of coaching. Only time will tell which is the case. That's from Alex. That is also true. I will also cede that point to you. Barry Trotz, is it time? I think it's always Barry Trotz time. Like, if I could get Barry Trotz here on these post games, I would. I just think Barry Trotz is a wonderful human being. I've met him in person a couple times. He's a wonderful human being, and I do think he's one of the best coaches in the National Hockey League. So yes, if a coaching change was to happen, I would definitely want Barry Trotz to be the guy coming in. Maddie got a point, keeping the streak alive. That is right. 13 for 13. Love it. Some more Barry Trotz love there from everybody. Can we please throw some confetti for Brandon Tanev, Kraken faceoff specialist, or are we too depressed? I would, Rebecca, if I could. We're using a new program to kind of do the streams and host the streams so that we can also like simulcast onto Twitter, and it doesn't accept the file type that is the confetti and fireworks. So I can't get the transparency to come in to do the confetti and fireworks over us. It can't work as an overlay. So I'm currently researching options that we can have to get back the confetti and fireworks. But for now, unfortunately, can't do the confetti and fireworks. So I apologize, everybody. It's just a little casualty of the change we made here in the off season. But I just got a text from RJ. RJ is ready to join us. So I'm going to go ahead and get that going. Let's get RJ in here and hear what Hackstall has to say. And it sounds like Everly was one of the post game pressers. So going to go ahead and grab RJ. All right, we have RJ with us. How's it going, RJ? That game was kind of brutal. RJ,
can you hear me? Hello.
There you go.
Cool.
So that game was brutal, RJ. No ways around it.
No, absolutely not. I'll borrow your line from the Ducks game. Well, that happened.
Yeah.
It was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was very, very rough. I mean, I almost don't even know where to start. Like, I guess go ahead and let us know kind of what people had to say in that post game press conference, because I think people are a little curious. Obviously, lots of stuff about Hackstall, as you can imagine, in this one. So kind of curious what he had to say.
Right. So, I mean, Dave Haxtell, he kind of echoed some of the sentiment as far as what went wrong that the players said. And I kind of want to start with them because we got Jordan Eberle and Yanni Gord, and they basically pointed to the early deficit, which kind of forced them to have to play on their toes. The forwards got too deep. It's kind of what we pointed out on Twitter during the game. And Vegas, I thought Yanni Gord gave a good insight. Vegas likes to play three guys high. If you get the forwards in too low, they're going to burn you in transition. And like we saw all second period, they just fed that Vegas transition, and it got ugly. They never stopped doing it. So I think that's the number one thing. Dave Haxtell, of course, pointed to that. The early deficit was tough, and then when you're chasing the game, I feel like we heard this a lot last season too, but when you're chasing the game, you've got to step up, you've got to take some risks, and you can get burned on that. But this is probably maybe the worst I've seen it ever in Kraken history. That second period was another level of ugly. So that's what Haxtell had to say about that. I don't know if there's been talk about Martin Jones and deciding to start him against Vegas in the chat. He did say that we started the right goalie tonight. That he stood by starting Martin Jones and said basically, look, they gave him no chance. They hung him out to dry, which I agree with. I don't think any of those early goals were on Martin Jones. He pointed to the Marchessault goal kind of under the arm as being one that he would want back. Again, I agree on that. But at that point, the game was kind of already out of hand. But one thing I found really interesting, I stuck around. So sorry, Dylan, you had to hold this down for a little bit longer. But I stuck around afterward to listen to Bruce Cassidy talk, speaking in his media availability, kind of about what went right for his team. And first of all, I like the straightforward answers that he gives. He's he's really good at these things. So, but he was asked pretty much on these odd man rushes. You got a ton of odd man rushes. What went right? What worked for you? Why did you get those odd man rushes? And his answer was very straightforward. He said, we were better along the walls. We beat them on the walls coming back the other way. We're bigger than them. And so it was easy to just move it from the wall to the inside, and all of a sudden we had an odd man rush. So beat them along the walls because we're bigger than they are. So I thought that was a really interesting answer there from the Vegas perspective.
Yeah, that is an interesting one. I felt like, and that certainly is the case on like those first two goals allowed. Like, oh my gosh, that was definitely the case. I started this whole thing off by saying I feel like the Kraken are putting too much emphasis on being physical, because I felt like part of the problem with those first two goals was guys were so focused on making a hit, finishing their check, going through that they were just taking themselves completely out of a play. Right? Like I brought up pointing out in the Larson video, the idea of just using your stick, disrupting play with your stick. Don't go for a hit. Don't go to body somebody up because it pulls you out of transition. It is certainly against a team like this that is trying to kill you in transition going back the other way. To do that in the offensive zone, it just makes no sense at all, really.
Exactly. And by the way, we got killed in transition. Those were Dave Haxtell's words. He said they killed us in transition. I mean, we all saw it, but he was honest about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was brutal. The other thing we talked about a little bit, and you talked about the goaltending thing, is and them giving Jones no chances. I felt like this was similar to the first game against the Ducks, where this Kraken team, wow, that made a big difference. Good on you for catching that, RJ.
I know. I was like, I just need a second to get this thing.
Was that I feel like this Kraken team, they're breaking their goaltenders' confidence. They're shattering their goaltenders' confidence because
nope.
Yeah.
All right, got me back.
Yep. They're shattering their goaltenders' confidence because both Jones in this game and Grubauer, they started off confident. They got through the rough first goal that really wasn't their fault. In this case, Jones got through the second goal that wasn't really his fault. But then once you start tacking on a third, everything's just gone. Like the confidence at that point was just gone. And so I feel like we still haven't totally like we've seen the one LA game, but outside of that, we haven't seen a game where the goaltenders have been really given a shot to be themselves.
No, we haven't. And this was another example of that. I thought Martin Jones did a great job bouncing back from those early two goals, neither of which were his fault at all, by the way, and made a lot of really big saves in the middle of that hockey game to keep it 2-0. That big penalty shot save. I mean, there were so many odd man rushes, so many breakaways, and he looked great. I mean, I was talking with some of the Vegas media, and they were saying that Martin Jones reminded them of Game 6 San Jose Martin Jones that made 60-something saves. For that brief bit, he was just stopping everything. And so he showed again what he can be at the top of his game. But yeah, when you don't support your goalie like that, it doesn't matter who you have back there. It's just not going to end well for you.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, as we go back over to chat here on the postgame live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall, Alex, Schultz fills what was a formerly big ol' hole on the power play. I said it on Twitter, RJ. Justin Schultz is the MVP of this team.
Absolutely. I mean, he's exactly what they needed. We talked about this going into the offseason of needing that puck-moving right shot D, someone who can anchor a power play. And to be able to sign a guy like Justin Schultz as cheaply as they did, too, I mean, that's a great signing. Ron Francis looking really good for that one. And I'm glad he was rewarded with a goal today because I thought he deserved it.
Yeah. Nathan wondering if there's a clear fix to the Kraken face-off because it's been horrible so far.
I mean, it has been horrible so far, and it's something that Dave Haxtell pointed out too, as you know, one of the reasons that they were so bad. I think he remembered. He's like, we lost our first 9, and we didn't even do well after that. So that was a big area of concern, and that was also something that Bruce Cassidy pointed out. The face-offs. He said, you know, when you can kind of get going downhill quickly, it makes a big difference for your team, and especially a team that's as based on those transitions as Vegas is. It's going to help a lot when you can start off with the puck. For faceoffs, I feel like it's just reps. I mean, like I don't know what else to say. It's repetitions, it's practice. What else is there, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, you could just try to make them less clean because like these were like clean draws that Vegas was winning too. So
Right.
maybe you just try to, you know, really muck things up in there, get physical with it. Just, you know, don't go for the puck, just go to body out the guy and kind of bog things down. Give your wingers a chance to come in and maybe help you out. Like at some point, if you're just gonna get smoked on the dot, like you have to just go for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that might be a good way to approach it, honestly, at this point.
And I will point out it wasn't just Nathan there. Aetherbreak and Peter all it was just 3 questions back to back about the face-offs there. Everyone
definitely worth bringing up.
Let's see. Getting some Brandon Tanev love here and how awesome he looks. I heard the giant cheer he got from the crowd when he was introduced during that.
I always find that interesting when they do the player introductions at the start of the season. Who gets the biggest cheer? I think it was pretty clearly Brandon Tanev.
Yeah.
Like I said, Matty Benier's a second, but like it was obviously Tanev.
Agreed. You could tell that just from listening at home. Let's see. Question about what we think the plan is with Shane. I don't entirely know. I think we'll probably save that for deep dive on Monday rather than this. But, you know, they have a plan. That was a big point of contention on the Discord today. Haxall confirmed it. Thanks for posting that, RJ, on Twitter.
Yep.
There is a plan. And Haxall kept using weave. So it's an organizational plan. It's not just like a coaching staff thing.
Yeah, as it should be with a prospect like that.
Yeah, exactly. Us beating Vegas will be our Stanley Cup. That's from Stuart. It's brutal, RJ. I hate losing to this team.
I know. I will say even the Vegas media are tired of it. Like I've been here for 3 games and I haven't seen one good period. I heard in the Vegas section of it. They want it to be at least a little closer, a little more competitive.
That's so disrespectful. So disrespectful. It's true.
All game I was hearing it.
It's kind of true. So like
I couldn't say anything to it. It's not wrong.
Yeah, we need to, you know what, like next time it's coming up, I know I was talking about it earlier, you don't like sell out everything for just like one game in an 82 game schedule, but you know what, next game against Vegas, let's sell it out. Lose the previous 3 games because you're just focused on beating Vegas. I'd be okay with
only watch Vegas film for the prior like week or 2.
Yeah, it's brutal. Stratic, RJ, have any comments on the Red Alert band, hoist the flag, and other stuff surrounding but not directly related to that atrocity of a hockey game?
Good question. Because they did have a very different in-game experience too, which was cool to see. They pulled out a lot of different things that they didn't have in the preseason. I thought the Red Alert band was awesome. They did a great job, especially in the second intermission. I went down to visit my family who was down visiting me, and in their seats, and I heard a lot of good things about the band kind of as they were playing in the second intermission. So that seemed like a real crowd pleaser. I actually missed the what's it called? The color, the banner thing at the start of the third period. So I was trying to make my way back up to the press bridge. I will get back to you on that. I feel like from what I heard from other people, it sounded like they liked it and it was cool, but there wasn't a ton of energy behind it given the game on the ice, and I can't blame anybody for that. It's just unfortunate timing when you're down 5-0 going into it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought the band was really cool. I liked a lot of the different like TV timeout, intermission entertainment, the fan type entertainment stuff. Yeah, no, I thought that was an improvement over last season. I like some of the ideas they're trying out. I'm trying to think of specific ones here. They they had one where they jokingly like threw a Golden Knights jersey. They had like the compost, the trash, and the recycle, and they had different items. And a Golden Knights jersey was there at the end. They put it in the landfill, which also bugged the Vegas media contingent. Like, it's compost it. Like, they make it out of material. You could do that.
I was just gonna say that's like one of the things with the Adidas jerseys.
It's Climate Pledge Arena. You got to know this stuff. But it was pretty fun. Definitely a few activities that I like looked up for and noticed.
Yeah, no, that's cool. The undercard leading into the Hoist the Colors was brutal. It was
the what?
The undercard, the lead up to it, the opening act. Yeah, it was terrible. I like the idea of saving that for the third period, but on games like today, that's not going to get it done for you. Yeah. Joey asking, why didn't we spend more money in free agency on our defense? I guess one of the answers, and pointing out defense was a weak link last season, was I think that still there's a lot of, or at least over the offseason anyway, there was still this feeling like with most of those names attached that it was like, guys weren't necessarily healthy last season. Everybody was just kind of getting used to things. These are all still good defensemen. These are defensemen that had value on trade markets, right? They're valued by other teams. So the idea was, I think, you kind of run it back with them, see if everybody can stay healthy, see if an Alexiak can stay healthy, give guys like Will Borgen a chance, all that kind of thing. And really just bring in, a power play specialist and kind of run it back. But yes, as of this moment, after these 3 games, it's looking like a questionable decision.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think they just kind of identified, look, with the salary cap, you can't satisfy every need. And you have to have a triage list. And I think looking at the bigger picture, even as far as, the fan experience and what kind of season you're going to have next year, I think they identified goal scoring as just something they needed to clean up, as a higher priority. And then even if they're, playing 5 to 4 games, it's going to be better than if they, sell it on the defense, but they still can't score goals. That could get ugly.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big part of it as well. Let's see. Where are we going here? Did you see the D-man in free agency last season? It was Klingberg, and that was it. That's part of it. Yeah, kind of, going with Hunter there. There wasn't a lot of guys out there for it. Sergeant Pickles, studs, few, duds, yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, here you go. Here's a stud. Beniers 13-13. That's kind of studly. And Justin Schultz, stud.
Yep, agreed. Those are the two. Actually, I'll add a third one. Pressbridge hot dogs when Phil Kessel's in the building, like clockwork, every time.
Yep, definite stud there. Duds, yeah, obviously lots to go around. I thought Carson Soucy had a really rough game. We've talked about that. Another dud I'd have is Yanni Gourde killing the momentum of any potential comeback with that penalty late.
Yeah, that was a rough penalty. Yeah, I mean, they had a little something going. I don't think they were going to tie the game, but it's the kind of thing you want to build off of until the final buzzer, and he kind of prevented any chance of doing that.
Yeah, let the fans on opening night at Climate Pledge for the season leave on a little bit of a high, but instead it just meant Vegas just ran out the clock. They didn't really do anything. Yeah. Let's see. Need to emphasize wing support on the faceoffs. That's from Alex. I agreed. I think that's something that needs to happen a little bit more. Joey, I'm glad with our pickups, but our defense is pretty bad. It is, it needs to be better. There's no question about that. Sergeant Pickles heading out, driving, so can't talk. Cheers, everyone. No problem, Sergeant Pickles. Drive safe travels. Losing to Vegas is the absolute worst. I mean, this is just something that keeps popping up. It's so rough, RJ.
I know. Of all the teams to lose to every time, I don't like Vegas.
Oh, Striatic. If the team is down 5-0 at the second intermission, they should hoist a white flag.
Oh, no.
No, I'm going to push back hard on that one, Stratic. Wasn't it awesome that they they attempted a comeback. We got 2 goals. We kept Vegas from getting a shutout. How much worse would this all be if we were just like, yeah, Vegas with Aiden Hill got a shutout against us?
You can't let that happen.
Yeah. I don't even know that I would have been able to do this post-game live. I would have been so sad. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a step too far, Striatic. Hextall should have never started Jones. I saw this result the second he said he was starting. He's terrible against Vegas. I'm not sure he's ever beaten them in the regular season. That's from Shoeshine. Yes, obviously, Sinbid pointing out that stat, RJ, of Jones has started 24 games against the Vegas Golden Knights. He has been pulled now in 9 of those 24 starts.
Yeah, and the thing is also, he had that one teed up, by the way. He had that one teed up from this morning as soon as they announced the start. He was saying, we laughed because this is just a thing with Martin Jones in Vegas. And again, those first 2 goals were not his fault in any way, but it's just the energy. It's the vibes. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just like clockwork. It happens. And, we were all thinking it. Anyone who had watched him in his time with San Jose was thinking that. And lo and behold, it happens again. I feel bad for him at this point because he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, it's like some weird formula, and 2 of the variables are Vegas and Martin Jones. And if Martin Jones is anywhere near that Vegas one, the outcome becomes certain. It's rough. I just thought it was a questionable decision just because I don't know. I figured you go back to Grubauer for the home opener, kind of solidify that, yes, he's our guy. It just felt too early to be trying to do the whole riding the hot hand.
Right. It did feel odd to me. I mean, I had the tweet ready to go. Grubauer starting tonight, after morning skate, and I had to go change it. It felt really odd. It kind of threw us off. And look, Grubauer was ready to play. He played well in the third period. He played really well.
Mm-hmm. Cool it with the penalties, totally ramp up the D, common opinion, right? And it saves huge pressure on the goalies. That's from Harley. Yeah, I mean, they took too many penalties, particularly late in the first and in the second there. And yeah, I mean, it's just everything. Like, this was a game set up for whoever was going to start to fail in net for the Kraken. Just everything about it, whether it's the atrocious play on the first 2 goals, the penalties that they were constantly taking, or just the entire second period just being like, oh, we can't get through the neutral zone. We don't know how to be in the offensive zone. Just take the puck and go back the other way, because that we at least understand.
Yeah, that second period might be, I'd really have to think about it, but that's got to be up there with one of the worst periods of Kraken hockey I've ever seen.
It's bad. It's bad. Beniers 13-13, but he made a dangerous pass that got picked off for a breakaway too. Needs to clean that up. That's again from Shoeshine. Yeah, I mean, there were some passing things that need to be worked out. RJ, for a guy who does nothing but pass, why does Wenberg continue to just send passes into guys' skates?
I know. Usually he's more dialed in on that. There were a couple times where I was begging him to shoot tonight, and he did, so I guess that's good. Yeah. But still, just a rough game. It's just sloppy from so many guys you wouldn't expect it from.
Yeah, and I will say, with somebody like Beniers in a situation like that, where you're down by a couple goals early on, you're pressing a little bit. You're going to try to force some things that maybe ideally you wouldn't, just because you're trying to get something going. You're trying to get your team going. You're trying to get a goal on the board. So if it's only going to be 1 or 2 bad plays throughout a game, you can kind of overlook that, knowing that this is a really, really good elite playmaker who's doing those things, and him doing those things. Yes, they might lead to a giveaway every so often, but more times out of not, it's going to generate a good chance for your team. So I think you just have to take, some of those bad plays with the good, similar to like the crazy nonsense Zegras is always trying to do, right? Like, it's just one of those, you just let them play their game and just know most of the time it'll work out, but the times it doesn't work out, it might look pretty bad.
Yeah, with a player like Matty, you just got to let it happen.
Yeah. Let's see. Vegas just seems like a bad matchup for us. What we want to do never works well against them, it feels. I certainly don't think coming into this game trying to out-muscle them was the right strategy.
No, and I think, because I think Vegas is still, as far as what they can do and how they can beat you, kind of a limited team. And again, this is something I talked with some of the Vegas media about. They said, look, you can let them have offensive zone time all day. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to hurt you. You can give them a power play. They're just going to pass it around the outside. They cannot hurt you that way. The one way they know how to hurt you is in transition, if you give them an odd man rush. and the Kraken just fed their transition all game. I mean, that's the one thing they did. So I think they're still a beatable opponent given how they play, or you can at least play a close game against them. It's like you watch the film and the opposite of what the takeaway should have been.
Yeah, I mean, I brought that up at the beginning too, right? There's a couple things in the offensive zone that Vegas wants to do. There's only really two things, right? They want to get a defenseman like Theodore or Pietrangelo the puck dead center up at the blue line and get them a clean look, and they did that in this one, and they got a goal from it. And like I talked about last post game live, they want to get guys like Carlson or Kolasar the puck right there at the side of the slot and then let them work back across. And we saw that on the first goal. Like these are things that if you just watch even one Vegas game, you're going to see that that's what they're trying to do. So for the Kraken to just let it happen was very disappointing.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know what's been going on with Yanni early in the season. Hasn't seemed like himself at all. That's from Alex. I agree. Yanni's looked rough, especially 5-on-5.
Yeah, no, I agree. He hasn't been himself. I don't know what's up with him exactly. I mean, you look at the line combos too. I mean, he's been shuffled around a little bit from wing to center, maybe not being able to get into a groove. Contributes to that a little bit. And I know he's got that versatility. He's played both over the course of his career quite a bit, but maybe it's the kind of thing, especially with all the new forwards coming in and some guys that might even feel newer, like Jaden Schwartz, who missed most of last year. It just feels maybe like a lot of turnover.
Yeah, I think there's that aspect of it. I do think we're going to see a lineup shakeup after this game. I think that's definitely to be expected. We saw some stuff change mid-game. I really want to see the Killer Bees. I think that would be a really dominant 5-on-5 line. You could question whether or not that leaves enough then to go around on your next two lines, maybe.
Right. I think, I don't know, maybe give Shane Wright that opportunity to step up and be the third line center, see what he can do.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. You have nothing to lose after a game like today, essentially. Because you know what? I haven't thought Morgan Geekie played particularly well either against the Kings or tonight.
No, and looking at his line stats, the fourth line stats, they're not having a positive differential in expected goals or shots or anything like that. It's just a slight negative. They're not atrocious, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement given the forward depth the Kraken have now.
Yeah, and I still think Geekie just suffers from he plays a little too fast for his own good.
Yeah.
he kind of gets himself into situations before he totally knows what to do in them. It seems like. Early predictions on who's getting traded at the deadline, and do you see a new coach for the beginning of season 3? It's never too early, RJ.
Yeah, we're 3 games in. It's time for this. I just, as always, look at expiring contracts, and then that'll give you your answer.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying in chat as well. Let's see. Stratic, I'm talking about hoisting a white flag, ironically. Sure.
Yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Sure. I'm buying that. Totally. Let's see. Shushan asking, how exactly was Shane not good enough to play tonight? Would he have laid a bigger turd than the rest of the team did? Probably not, to be honest.
No, probably not. And I mean, I know his parents were here, and like his family was here too for anticipating that he might play in one of these games. So he'll probably have the chance in a couple days. But that would have been cool.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually think Shane Wright would have played and ended up being a really good fit in this game, just because Shane Wright's not really going to be a guy who's going to feed that transition going the other way. He is responsible defensively. He does know how to get back and, back check in a clean way that's not going to, be drawing a penalty shot or something, right? Like, he would have actually been pretty useful in this game.
Yeah, there were so many times I was like, can we just get one forward to stay high and watch that third forward for Vegas? And I've seen him consistently do that through the preseason and in that first regular season game. That's one thing at least I know he would do.
Right. I again, and that comes back around to, I feel like their idea is to be physical, and that's partly why they want a Morgan Geekie in there with his big body and being more used to playing against men in the NHL. But I just don't think this team is really built to be as physical as right now the game plan is requiring them to be. Let's see. Donskoy is gone as soon as he's back. I don't know about that. Let's see. More talks about the white flag here. Let's see. There's got to be a mental aspect to this team's struggles against Vegas at this point too. Sort of Alex. I mean, at some point you'll always hear that from some teams, right? Like it does get in their heads a little bit, like, oh man, we can't beat these guys. But also a lot of times, I don't know. I feel like professional athletes, they kind of take that as a challenge more so than anything.
Right. No, I think so. I don't think we're at that point yet, just through 3 games against Vegas and separated by as much time as they are. And I think it was Eberle who was asked about that. And he's like, yeah, what is it about Vegas? They're just a good hockey team. Like, you have to come and play your best. And we didn't do that tonight.
Yeah. Michael, isn't that a coaching issue too, that they weren't prepared for the transition game of Vegas?
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, is it a coaching issue or is it an execution issue? Because you have Hackstall saying we can't feed their transition immediately in the post-game presser. Seems to me like then he knows about it. So did he just know about it and decide not to do anything? Or was it the players on the ice just weren't sticking to where they were supposed to be?
Well, I guess there's a little bit of both. And the players mentioned kind of trying to get too aggressive given the early deficit, and then you have to kind of chase the game. But again, that's still something the coach needs to be on top of them about. I mean, you have intermissions to talk to them about these things. I mean, this is something I would like to see Dave Lowry, maybe impress upon the players. That's why you have that roving coach, to see things like that and just sit aside and go forward. Like, hey, let's hang on, let's stay higher in the zone, pick a certain forward for each shift and do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's where I would have, one thing I would have liked to see actually is McCann go back over to center for this game, because McCann could have done that.
Yeah, no, he could have.
Let's see. Shane should have played tonight. He just should have. Might have actually improved the team's face-off percentage. Shane. Yanni probably being woken up by his new baby and then caught in UW game traffic while commuting, then got bummed out by the M's game. I mean, I guess I could believe that. Those all seem like things that may have happened today.
Yep. No, there was a lot going on around here.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to see Kuhlman and Gord together again. I agree with that. Like, give me a line of Tanev, Kuhlman, and Yanni Gord.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's been Gord, Tanev, and Eberle, and I feel like there are useful places you could use Eberle elsewhere in the lineup.
Yeah, agreed. Like almost anywhere else. So he doesn't fit the style or really the pace of the other two guys on that line. That line has always felt weird to me.
Yeah, no, agreed. Just one of these things is not like the other's line.
Yeah, it's been odd. So Cameron pointing out Vegas just looked faster too. Yeah, they did. They were. I mean, they were kind of better at everything tonight.
Yeah, pretty much.
just up and down. It's just the way it is. It actually felt like M Games sucked some energy from the crowd, more empty seats than I'd have expected from the home opener. I mean, how was it? It looked pretty full to me.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, it definitely wasn't entirely full. I think part of that might be the Mariners game lasting as long as it did. Like, I heard plenty of stories of people who were planning to go to both, and then, of course, you're not leaving that Mariners game in extra innings. So I think that was part of it. And we were all kind of talking before the game. We expected less than full, but it was still more full than I thought it would be given the Mariners game.
Yeah, and it seemed plenty, it was loud for the pregame.
Yes, it was loud for the pregame, and I mean, that kind of game will just take the wind out of your sails right away as far as a crowd. But they were there and ready to bring it.
Yeah, but you know what? It looked way fuller than LA looked that game I was at the other day. That thing was empty. And quick shout out here to Aaron. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thanking us for all that we do. You are very, very welcome, Aaron. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron.
All right, so we're at the end of the comments there, so I'll do a quick last call for comments for everybody, and then RJ, I just want to ask you about the pregame, ceremony and the new pregame show and everything, because we were lucky enough on ESPN Plus to actually get to see it.
They showed it. Great.
Blew my mind. So we got to see it, and I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah, I liked it, and I liked the music. I liked the ice kind of breaking on the ice, I guess. I liked the effect with it. That the tentacle still seems like somewhat awkward as far as the usage of it.
Very.
But I liked everything else around it. I liked the video kind of leading up to it. It got everyone really hyped up. The crowd was loud. And you could tell a lot of time, a lot of thought was put into it. I like it.
Yeah, everything was really, really solid up until the reveal of the tentacle, and then it's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, it was anticlimactic, that's for sure.
It was. Why didn't it come out when the ice is breaking? Like, it's breaking up through the ice. Like, come on. It's so natural.
I kept looking at the tentacle, just waiting for something kind of different to happen with it or whatever.
Yeah.
It just didn't come together right.
That was the only part that kind of fell flat a little bit. But otherwise, I thought that it was much better. I'm so happy that they project onto the ice. And I'm telling you, everybody, I was just at both Honda Center to see the Ducks and Crypto.com Arena to see the Kings. And let me tell you, for being in Los Angeles and the greater Los Angeles area, supposed to be like this media and entertainment capital of the world, those were some sad pregame, rituals.
Really?
There. They were terrible. The Ducks, don't really expect too much from the Ducks. That's never really been their thing. But the Kings, it was horrible. Horrible.
I remember the Kings ones actually used to be good. I mean, I wasn't even a huge fan of the team, but I had to admit some of those were really good, especially that season after they missed the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. That one was like elite. Like, it's one of the best all time, I think, for any NHL club. But these were really, really bad. Seattle blew them out of the water completely. So good on Seattle for that. All right, so got 3 comments here. We'll finish up with Cameron. Any thoughts on our matchup with Carolina? What do we have to do against them? So Carolina, we've talked about their depth, particularly down the middle, a little worse than it used to be. What?
Oh, nothing. Sorry, go ahead.
You okay?
That wasn't at you. All
right. Carolina's depth isn't quite there. That's why I think this would be a good game to get Shane Wright back in there. I feel like he could do a good job in that one. So yeah, I think, but otherwise, as far as what we could do against Carolina, it's just, you worry about stopping that first line. Just focus on stopping that first line. I think the Kraken's depth matches up very well with them after that.
Agreed. And it's the kind of game where if you do like what you did in the LA game and take the lessons of the previous game and bounce back, Carolina is one of those teams that that you can kind of, they're very talented, but you can kind of steal a game from if you're structured. You saw the San Jose Sharks almost do that. I think it was last night where they almost, stole a game against Carolina, who outchanced them by a lot, but they made things manageable on their goalie. What a concept. But, they did it in LA too. When Martin Jones was in net. They made things manageable and they ended up winning. So I think it's one of those games that if you just come out, play your game, play structured, learn from the mistakes of the last one, you should be able to win.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, some talk about the fabric around the tentacle, kind of not really hiding it all that well, but it looked cool that they projected onto it, and I will agree with that one. Let's see. Stratic wondering what Bowie was doing. Anything fun? There was that mystery about Bowie's feet.
Yeah, the feet were normal. I guess Bowie caught on to some of what hockey Twitter wants, I guess, as we've learned when I've accidentally taken pictures of the players with their media availability that panned down enough that it included their feet in them, and everyone's talking about it. So I guess Bowie is aware of this. Yeah, so no, there's nothing unusual about the feet. But yeah, he was around. He was banging a little drum to get the cheer going occasionally. I guess he was a part of the I need to learn the name of it. The thing at the start of the third period.
Hoist the colors.
Hoist the colors. Thank you. He was a part of that, I am told. Like I said, I missed it, but he was a part of that. So yeah, just normal mascot things.
Yeah, we saw it on the broadcast. I couldn't tell if he was, doing a siren or was doing the hoisting from half of an arena away.
I'll get back to you on that on Monday.
Yeah, and also from Stratic, does Bowie have a vehicle that shoots pyro yet?
No, he has a vehicle. I mean, there is the Bowie Mobile. It doesn't come in here, and to my knowledge, it doesn't shoot pyro. But I don't know. Maybe they can fix that.
I was gonna say that might make it not street legal. So
I know you have to choose.
I don't know what your Washington state laws are all like with it when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I tend not to think of that state as being a Mad Max kind of hellscape when it comes to the road and everyone actually does the speed limit.
It's true.
Everybody does the speed limit, but they shoot fire at each other. That's how we roll.
I'll take it.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this post-game live, everybody. it was a rough game, but I think we managed to have some good fun here on the post game live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. Thanks for joining us, RJ. Thanks for giving us the reactions and all the stuff from the pressers, because we were all really waiting for that, and I think that was some good stuff.
Yeah, I was too. All third period, my mind got ahead of it as far as how it was going. So, I was interested to hear the answers too.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks everybody so much for joining us for this one. Get right back at it on Monday against Carolina. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think the results should be better. Yeah, as far as things they could do against Carolina, how about this one? When the ref drops the puck, that means the game has started.
Yep. We got to remind them of that. Have some kind of crowd cheer.
Yes. That's going to do it for us. Yes, plug the merch. Go check out the merch, everybody, and the Patreon. All the links in the description below. Lots of good stuff. And then we'll also have the deep dive coming out on Monday too. That's going to be a lot of fun now that we've got some games to break down.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Lots to talk about on that one.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.